And welcome to the Great Business Skills Show on radio.com. And I'm your host, Dr. Anthony L. Gantt. And we are iHeart Station. And anywhere you get your podcast, you can get any of our shows Sunday through Saturday, mornings, afternoons, evenings. Got a lot of great shows here. So since you're getting started, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button there on IntellectualRadio.com and also hit the bell so you can be notified of any of the shows that we have going on here Sunday through Saturday. We have a lot of great shows from entertainment to educational, spiritual shows, health shows, fitness shows, comedy shows, political shows, you name it. We have it here. So uh, don't hesitate to actually subscribe so you can be notified of all those great shows and connect with a lot of the great hosts here at IntellectualRadio.com. So again, this is the Great Business Skills Show, and this is a business skills show for those of you all that may be new to IntellectualRadio.com and also myself. This show is based on uh, great business skills, or helping you have better business skills and turn your good skills into great skills and help you become a great business person as well. So every series we do a different series on a business skill, and we teach throughout that series on that business skill. This particular series, we are on part two in the series on how to speak better in public. And I think that's a business skill that a lot of us in business need to have and also need to improve upon to help us in business. So before I get started, like I always do, let me promote someone. And if you'd like to get promoted on one of my shows, this show here, the Great Business Skills Show, or a Greater Youth Show, you can contact me at fullofpurposemedia@gmail.com, and I'll send you my information, and then we can speak about and see if my show fit what you do, and see if what you do or your services or business or products fit what my show has. If you're out about helping people, then you 50% there already. So uh, tonight I'm in promoting Mr. Emmett Farmer. And are you 65 and older or know someone who is in need of Medicare assistance? Mr. Emmett Farmer is a licensed life and health insurance producer and an independent insurance broker. He can be reached at 773-908-9425 or efarmer2, that's the number 2, efarmer2 at ameritech.net. Mr. Emmett Farmer specializes in Medicare plans for seniors 65 and older. Also, if you are disabled and have Medicare, he can help you as well. He is licensed in Illinois, Texas, and in the process of being licensed in many other states throughout the country. If you are 65 and older, or if you will become 65 within the next 6 to 12 months, contact Mr. Emmett Farmer to learn more about your available options. Again, for more information, contact Mr. Emmett Farmer at 773-908-9425. That's 773-908-9425, or efarmer2, that's the number 2, EFARMER, the number 2, at ameritech.net. You would also get a free consultation by mentioning that you heard about Mr. Emmett Farmer and his business here on the Great Business Skills Show here on IntellectualRadio.com with the host, Dr. Anthony L. Gantt. And he will definitely help you out, especially give you a lot of good information that can help you with that process. So let's get into what we're doing today. Again, if you're new to me, I always do a recap of what we discussed in previous sessions regarding the topic. And again, this is like a business class or a business coaching session, a book club, all wrapped into one. So, we talk about this topic. Again, the topic we're talking about is how to be a better public speaker. And if you are in business, you need to get better at being a public speaker. Not saying need to, like I'm saying make you do it, but it would just enhance your business so much better because people will want to hear more about your business if you can speak well about it in a public setting. So being a better public speaker is not just about a person that you may call a motivational speaker, people like that. If you're in business, you got to get better at this. This is a skill set that you need to have. Now, we're not talking about being a better public speaker like giving a pitch for 30 seconds. This is not what we're referring to. We're talking about being very effective and also making a positive impact in the lives of people that hear you when you do speak. So we're coming from a different perspective. Even though you're a business person, you need to actually look at it that way. Again, not a pitch, because a pitch is only 30 seconds. You might be asked to speak for 30 minutes, for an hour, 2 hours, 20 minutes. And that's much longer than 30 seconds. A whole lot of us can sound real good for 30 seconds. You understand? So a lot of us need a little more skills to go past 30 seconds and speak for 5, 10, 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it may happen to be. So this is what we're here to do. So session one we discussed what the fear of public speaking was and the term glossophobia. And glosso is a Greek word, it's claustrophobia. Glosso is a Greek word meaning tongue, and phobia means fear, dread, or dread. So really, it's not that you dread the fear of your tongue; it's that you don't have a fear of that. It's that you dread and fear speaking in front of people. So you climb up and you get nervous. But we talked about when you get nervous, nervousness is only a sign that you want to do a good job, and that's something that you must understand that you want to do a good job, and that's a good sign. You should, when you step in front of people, you should want to do a good job, whether you're stepping in front of 5 people, 500, 5,000, or 50,000. You should want to do a good job when you stand in front of people, whether it's for 5 minutes or an hour or for 5 hours. You want to do a good job while you do it. So we talked about them. We came out of lesson one, and we talked some things about who a public speaker is not a person that just like to talk. Just having the gift of gab does not qualify you to be a public speaker, and that just because you like to talk, people that like to talk think that it's all about them and they just talk about them the whole time. But we talked about the fact that you don't want to waste people's time while you're out there speaking to them, because what they give you, you can never get back, which is their time. So we also talked about being yourself, which is very important. One of the first steps you need to understand in order to get past the fear of public speaking, that it's okay to be you, right? It's okay to be you. Don't try to be somebody else while you're standing in front of people speaking, because people are looking at you, right? All eyes are on you. Again, this is based off the book, this whole series, a book that I've written called All Eyes on Me, right? Because when you're speaking in public, everybody's looking at you. All those eyes looking at you and all those ears are on you, why you because you're the center of attention, so to speak. And so you have to realize that even though that's the case, but it's not all about you. They're to not waste the time of the people that's sitting in the audience. Because the example that I gave you last session was, if a person gives you the from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, you speak for that hour, they can never get that time back ever again. Now tomorrow they may have another 2 to 3, and next week they have some more 2 to 3s, and next month and next year. But that 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock hour they gave you, they would never get it back again. So you have to look at it that you have to make their time valuable, because they gave you something that you can never get back. And the example the same way I used last session, right now you are looking at and listening to me. I can't give you this time back. So since I can't give you this time back, I have to make it worth your time by giving you some valuable information. So when you walk away, hopefully you say that was worth my time, because I can't give you anything to equate to the time you just gave me. But I have to make it worth your time. And if you don't make it worth someone's time, you're wasting their time. And anything that, when you look at something waste, you look at it as trashing. So you're trashing the life of people when you waste their time. So we don't want to do that, because of the fact that they gave us something valuable. So you got to give all you can, and that will be valuable to them. And again, hopefully they walk away and say, man, that was worth my time. I'm glad I listened to you for 5 minutes or an hour, or 2 hours, or whatever it may be, because of the fact that it was worth my time when I sat there in front of you. So today we're going to go into, in session two, we're going to come from the lesson in the book, lesson 5 in the book, and we're going to talk about, why are you there? Again, we talked about not wasting the time of people, but then you have to think about, why are you there? And I kind of led into this last week just a little, and I spoke about the fact that one of the reasons why you're there is to actually deliver a message. You are a delivery person. You are the messenger, and the messenger is never bigger than the message. If the messenger is bigger than the message, then that means the messenger has gotten in the way of the message. Every message is a big message, but it looks little when the messenger try to get bigger than the message. Your job is to always get out of the way of the message, so the message can do big things for the people that's sitting in the audience. If the message can't do big things for people in the audience, it's probably because you're in the way trying to be bigger than the message. Okay, so you want to make sure that you don't do that. So this is how we waste the time of people, when we don't realize that we're there to deliver a message. Now, something that will help you with time, I always state that, obviously you need to know how much time you have to speak. Anytime you're speaking in front of people, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, whatever it may be. And usually people let you know when they're inviting you up to speak, who need you to speak, they're giving you a parameter regarding time. Now, I'm big on using a clock, and you should have some type of clock. You can use your phone or whatever you have, some type of stopwatch clock, so you can kind of allocate and see where you are when it comes to time. So it may be certain points you're going to make in your time. So you might want to say, I'm going to make these 3 points. And by the time I get to minute 5, hopefully I made point 1. By the time I get to minute 10, I made point 2. And by the time I get to minute 15, I made point 3. And now I can wrap it up because I made my 3 points on what I want to talk about. But if you don't have a clock, it's kind of hard to see that where you are and based on the time, because hopefully you prepared before you got out in front of people. Hopefully you did some type of preparation so you know what you're going to talk about in front of people. And if you have notes or things like that, that's fine too. But then you want to make sure you stay in the parameters of your time. Now, I said that you're a delivery person, and I used the example last session. I'm bringing it into this session too. Is how when you have a mail person, and they delivering your mail, you like them. However, you want the package or the envelope that you're looking for. That's what's more important to you. Now, it's not saying that those people aren't important. It's just that package that you're waiting for uh, by the delivery person is what you're looking for. So when people are sitting in the audience, you're there to deliver a message for them. Now, let's look at the word message, because really what you're doing, we want to be an effective speaker in front of people. And then we also want to make a positive impact on the lives of the people that's sitting there listening to us, right? Even if we're doing this virtual, right? If you're doing something virtually, you still have it's still somewhat live. Unlike what I'm doing now, you may be looking at me live, but I don't know you looking at me live, right? I don't know if you're looking at me or not because I can't see you, so to speak. But when you're standing in front of people speaking to them, then you can see people and you can read body language. You can do a whole lot of different things. And you can see a lot of different things because you're looking at people live. Well, same thing if you do something virtual, you can see people on the screen and you can see their body language as well. So the same thing still applies. Now, when you're trying to be effective and you're trying to make a positive impact, you don't want to be a rude person and calling people negative names and calling. I've been in several places and the people with the mic, they're talking about the person in the audience and calling them names and calling them idiots and stupid and all that. And I just think that's just so ridiculous because those people just gave you an hour and you sat there for an hour and called me ridiculous and stupid, right? Now, because we're polite individuals in a polite society, most times we just sit there and let that person do what they do and do their rant, and then, the whole time we're looking at our watches and, looking at clocks trying to say, man, when's this person going to sit down so I can get up out of here? Right. Because nobody want to hear about how bad they are or how bad you think they are. And they're giving you part of their life and, you're going to trash it. So we don't want to do that. So when you're delivering a message to be effective and also make a positive impact, it got to be positive. Right. So let's look at the word message, because what you want to do, you want to be able to touch the intellect of people, and you also want to be able to touch the emotions of people. And see, your effectiveness would touch the intellect. Your positive impact would touch the emotions. And here's what normally happens to a lot of us. We are usually one dimensional. Very either we're very intellectual and people say, ooh, that was so good, that was so good. But they don't do anything. They've been intellectually stimulated, aroused, right? And they don't do anything, right? Then we have this other group that's they get you emotionally aroused and then you jumping up and down. Oh yeah, and you can't wait to go do something, but you don't know what to do, right? Because they didn't intellectually stimulate you. Well, in order to be effective and also make a positive impact, you have to get good at doing both of them. You got to touch the intellect, and you have to also touch the emotions. You got to do them both, right? Now, the way that you do that, if you want to do that effectively, you have to look at it as this: you have to turn your mess, a mess that you've been in, and turn it into a message, right? Because that's what a message is, right? It's two words, mess and age, right? So let's look at a mess for a moment. A mess is something stinky, nasty, chaotic, cluttered, just disorderly. It's all that, right? Confusion. That's a mess. You and I have lived through mess, right? Matter of fact, we might be living through some mess right now, right? So we all have that sense of we've been through some mess, right? Regardless of when the mess happened, we all have had an opportunity to be in mess more than once. The older you get, you got more mess that you've probably been involved in, right? Now, age is representing time. Some people spent a week in mess. Some people spent a month. Some people spent a year. Some people spent 10 years in a mess, right? So this is why you have a message, because you have spent some time in some stinky, chaotic, confusion, cluttered, disorderly stuff in life, right? We all have. So since we have, that's where your message is created, in that space, right? This is what hurts a lot of people. They're trying to have a message and they're not even talking about a mess because they've been perfect all their life. So hey, they've never been in a mess. So they had it all, they always had it together, right? They always been on point. They always saved money, they always made the right decisions, always been in the right environments. That's not my story, right? I made a whole lot of bad decisions, wrong decisions. So I created some mess. I had some mess in my life, spent some time in that mess, and then I came out with some messages, right? So this is the same thing that you can do. And when you understand that, then now you can still be, remember what I shared with you last session, you can be yourself. It's okay to be you. Well, see, if it's okay to be you, and then it's okay to talk about your mess and the time you spent in that mess, then your mess, you have just turned your mess into a message, right? Now, if you're in the center of your mess right now, you don't have a message yet because you don't know how to get out. You just stepped into your chaotic situation, your confusion and everything. You don't really have a message. You just have a mess. And if you start trying to talk about that now, you just spilling a bunch of mess around to other people that might be in a mess and nothing gets solved, right? So this is when people start getting emotional. So when you look at some scenarios, right? For instance, and I'm using this for an example. Sometime when you go to like motivational seminars, and you go to church, right? They get you all emotional and hyped up. You like, yeah, 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 yeah. You can't wait to get out. Can't wait to get out. Ooh, right? You excited because they got you all fired up. And you walk out the door, man, you just deflated. All that hot air that was out there, you just don't nothing else going on now. You just sweated out your clothes and everything, and then you get outside and be like, man, I got to go take me a nap. I do that another time. So you want to make sure that you don't become that type of person. You don't want to have a bunch of people just emotionally aroused and not actually doing anything or don't know what to do. Because now you have all these people running out there doing stuff, bumping into stuff, creating accidents, creating more mess, creating more chaotic confusion. They're creating all this other stuff in their life because of the fact that all they did is get emotionally aroused by what you said. Well, again, you want to actually add this intellect to it so people can say, okay, I'm excited because I know what to do, so tomorrow I'm doing this. So when I walk out the door, I'm doing step one, right? So because when you just an intellectual speaker, people would say, "Man, that was a great speech that person gave. Man, they were so smart. That was very intellectual, right?" Again, but they won't do anything. When you're just an emotional speaker, people say, "Man, I'm so fired up, man. I just don't know what to do. I mean, I just feel like I can touch the sky." Right? I'm snatching some stars out the air tonight, right? So they get all excited, but they don't know how to snatch a star out the air. They don't even know how to walk to the corner. So you have to do them both. You have to, get me excited, so to speak, and then also at the same time, you need to actually encourage me to be more intelligent. This is how you turn your mess into a message. So when you have that mess that you've been through, now you might be going through a mess right now. That may be for a future message, right? Because you spend some time in that. Now, how much time? There's no requirement of how much time. But the more time you sit in the mess, smarter you get sometime, right? Like, hey, sat in that mess for 6 months. It's like, man, you got 6 months worth of education, right? You sit in that mess for 6 years, you got 6 years of education. So now you become more authentic, you have more to say, you have more of an impact, you know how to actually help more people in more ways because you have more situations happen within that time frame. So when you turn your mess into a message, then your message should turn into a massage for the life of the people that's listening to you. So your message should massage my life, right? This is when I can walk away from it and say, hey, that was worth my time. Because what you said to me made it worth my time and it massaged my life. Because no one really wants to live in a mess. You don't want to live in a mess. I don't want to live in a mess. I don't think very many people want to live in a mess, right? However, since that's the case, even though we don't want to live in a mess, it happens, right? Well, all of us that live in a mess, we want to get out of one, right? If we're in a mess, hey man, tell me how to get out of this thing, right? I'm in this mess, man. This thing stinks, right? So tell me how to get out of this mess. So this is one of the reasons why you must realize as a business person, your business is to help me to some degree in my life, maybe your products, maybe your services, maybe your storefront, your restaurant. It's you may say, well, no, it's just a restaurant. I'm serving food. Well, I don't know how to cook very well. So maybe you serving food at your restaurant is actually helping me get out of the mess I'm in that I don't know how to cook and my kids aren't eating really well because I don't cook well, right? So you helping me get out of a mess, or maybe you have a recipe book that you want to teach me how to cook, or you have a show that you want to teach me how to cook, or how to be in better relationships. Because maybe that's my mess. I'm in bad relationships, and I've been in bad relationships for the last 5, 10, 15 years. And maybe when I hear you speak, maybe you can teach me how to get out of bad relationships and get into good relationships, right? So that means that your message, this is why I need to be authentic. This is why it has to be yours. They help massage my life, right? So hopefully, like what I'm saying here, maybe the mess that I've been in and made mistakes. See, the reason why I tell you to be yourself, because at the time when I started speaking and everything, I was trying to be somebody else. And when you're trying to be somebody else that's really not you, trust me, people can say, you look questionable up there because you're trying to be somebody that you're not, right? See, I understand that part of being in the mess. I understand about being nervous before you go speak. I had that part of the mess. I understand about wasting people's time talking about a bunch of nothing. They had nothing to do with what I'm supposed to be talking about. So I had to learn how to get past those things. Hopefully, when I come across that, you say, hey, I'm going to learn that and do that the next time I speak in front of someone. I'm going to use my business to do that when I speak in front of this chamber of commerce, or when I speak in front of this group, or this fraternity, or sorority, or whatever I may speak in front of. The next time I get a chance to speak, I'm going to do these things and just be authentically me and be transparent. Now, when I say be transparent, you don't need to give out too much information. You understand what I'm saying? Uh, because it's not about you anyhow, right? It's about actually helping me, do something with my life more than about helping you, right? Because so you want to make yourself small. You don't want to make your story so big about you while you're speaking in front of people that I don't remember anything you told me but what you did for 25 years and how you did all that and robbed all those banks and all those things. And, okay, it's fine. You said you had some financial problems. And you started talking about all the banks you robbed for 25 years and how you told your friends how to rob banks and you told all your cousins how to rob banks. Then I walk out of there and said, man, maybe me and my family can learn how to rob banks, right? You don't want me going out like that. So you don't want to need to really give all the information about you, but you need to be authentic with people because again, we don't know how much time you have, right? If you have 10 minutes, I don't need to hear about all the bad stuff you've done all your life in 10 minutes. I need to hear a little bad and a whole lot of good, right? Because I'm trying to get out of a mess. And that's what your purpose is, because you are a delivery person. And the message is always bigger than the messenger. And if the messenger ever become bigger than the message, that means the messenger has gotten away. Then say, man, people say I only remember you. Like, oh no, I mean, I guess I talk too much about me and not enough about the stuff I'm supposed to be talking about. Well, that's really what some of the things you want to do. Now, when you understand that that's one of the reasons why you're there, I made some statements last week to kind of introduce us to this. That I said part of your job or responsibility when you speak in front of people is to persuade people. You every time you speak in front of people, you're trying to persuade them to do something, and you're trying to dissuade them from doing something else. So the example, just say for instance, you're a person that speak on health, right? And you saying that it's a good idea to drink more water. So you're talking about all the benefits of drinking more water. Water is good for you. Water is the best thing you need to have. You need to drink more water and all these things. Now you're trying to persuade people to drink more water because water is good for their body, and you're trying to dissuade them from drinking more uh, stuff that's not good for their body, whatever that may be, right? So you say, hey, drink 2 glasses of water in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. So you're trying to persuade me, right? And there's nothing wrong with persuading because sometimes people confuse persuading with convincing. You're not here to try to convince somebody of doing something. You're trying to deliver a message that will persuade people to do something good for them. Now, if your message of what you're talking about is doing you more good than the people that's listening to you, then you're on the wrong side of this thing. The message that you have should do people more good than you get out of the situation. What do I mean by that? Excuse me. Suppose you out there and you have a message. You said, "Hey, it's a message. I'm gonna teach you how to actually be a millionaire by Friday, right? But you got to give me all your money, your 401k, everything you have, your firstborn child, everything, right? I want it all. And then when you give it to me, then we'll see what happens. Well, you benefit more than that person. See, now you're trying to convince, and sometimes if you get into this convincing mode, you might be considered a con person. So we're not trying to do that. You're trying to actually say, here are 3 steps to help you become whatever, a millionaire, whatever you're trying to teach people, right? So here's how you can help save you more money. And these are 3 steps to save more money in your investment program. Well, see, that does them bet more good than it does you. That hopefully that makes sense to you. So this is how you thinking about persuading. Your message should persuade me to do something good for me, not do something good for you, right? So if you the only one benefiting, we have a big problem. We have a messenger that's bigger than the message. We have a messenger with a big ego, and now a lot of us going to get a small results because of your big ego and because you're in the way of a big message that could be a big message, but you're in the way of it. So you're trying to persuade people. Now, in your persuading, you're trying to engage people into a conversation. This is why you need to be authentic. You need to engage people into what you're trying to do so that they can see themselves out of the mess that they're in. See, a person went through bankruptcy, they need to see themselves out of bankruptcy, whether it's personal bankruptcy, financially, spiritually, emotionally, physically, whatever it may be, they need to see themselves get out of it. Well, part of your responsibility is to help that person get out of that spiritual bankruptcy, help that person get out of that financial bankruptcy, help that person get out of their emotional bankruptcy, right? That's part of your responsibility as the person that's delivering the message, right? Because the message can do more good for the people listening to it than you. The message can go more places with the person than you. The message can stay in that person's life longer than you. So you can give a message and not be here on the planet, and the message can still help the people that heard the message. And they can share the message with someone else and it can help them too. That's how big the message can become if you make sure you get out of the way. So you want to engage people into actually seeing or being what you're saying, right? So when you engage them into it, that means that they be taking a part in what you say, right? Not taking a part what you say, they're taking a part in what you say. So they're participating in the actual message. So they start seeing themselves get out of a mess. It massages their life, right? See, because here's the thing. I don't know if you ever had a massage before. You probably have. And if you haven't, tell your boo to give you one, right? But if you had a massage, very few people get up from a massage. I don't care if it's their leg, their arm, back, or whatever it may be, and say, "Man, I feel worse." Massages make you feel good, right? You feel better. You feel less stressful because you get a massage. Well, your message to make people feel less stressful. They just feel better after they heard what you said and then believing they can see and do what you said do because they've been persuaded by your message to do those things, those 2 things, 3 things, or 5 things you told them to do. They actually, and one of those things they can do is by using your product, they can grow their hair, right? Because you may have a hair care product, right? And if they use this product, they can grow their hair and they can have all the hair they want. It can be a big old afro if they like, right? Because that's what your product does, right? Or that's what your business does. Or, they can get their taxes done right because you're a good accountant and you do taxes pretty well. And this is the thing they need to do to keep their taxes in order so that they won't get audited by the IRS. See, that helps them more than it helps you, right? So now they know how to keep all the records together because of the message that you deliver to them based on the business that you have, right? So here's 3 things you need to do when it comes to working with persuasion, right? When you're giving a message, keep in mind now it's all based on time too. So you have to, if you got a short amount of time, you got to do this much quicker. If you have a lot of time, then you can do a little bit longer. So I call this the 3 I's, right? And you might want to write this down and keep this in some notes when you speak, right? So you're trying to do these 3 things or have these 3 I's. And the reason why they 3 I's, they all start with I, right? It's simple to remember, right? So it's not like anything, like the third eye and all that. No, it's not all that deep. They all start with the letter I, so you can remember what they are. So um, the first I you want people to do, and this is to help you persuade people, help your message persuade them, is that you want to inform people. So your message should be some type of information, right? So this is why a lot of people that just want to get emotionally, charged up, jumping all on tables and doing flips and trips and all that stuff, and doing all that dancing and singing and shaking and all that stuff. They're doing all this different stuff, and they're not informing people. So if you want to persuade people, people can't get persuaded to do something for themselves without being informed or getting some type of information. So let's look at inform for a moment. Inform has 2 words, N-I-N, inform, right? So when you form means shape. So really, this is why people have to be engaged in your message because what you inform them on is shaping them into something, right? So if you inform them on being financially independent, your information should shape them into a financially independent, at least thinking that way because they have the information. If you're trying to have people eat healthier or be healthier or have more energy, take care of their health, then the information that you're giving them in form should shape them into what the information you're giving them, right? They should start, thinking that, oh, okay, I can lose 5 pounds. Oh, okay, I can get my energy level up. Oh, okay, I can't get my blood pressure down, right? Because of the information that you shared with them. That's part of the first part of persuading. The next part, the next I, again, of this scenario, is to instruct, right? You got to instruct people. People need some instructions, right? You just can't uh, tell people, hey man, this how you inform somebody. You got to instruct them too on what to do. Instruct me, instruct me to build. So you're building in something as well as shaping them into something, right? So that's what the information is doing for them. And then the third I is invite, right? And I probably could throw another I in there too, called inspire, right? And inspire, you can say I mean in, and spire means spirit, right? So here's the reality. You are actually breathing life into the people that's listening to you when you speak. Your spirit, so to speak, is touching their spirit. So this is why you have to realize that your message is bigger than that, because you're breathing life into the people that actually hear you when you speak to them. And not saying that they don't have any life, but you're adding some life to them. This is why you can't talk derogatory about them, call them names and everything, because you're really killing the life that's in them when you give them all that derogatory information, right? But when you give them information on positive information on how they can do and how they can get out of a mess, you're bringing life to them by breathing life from you and you're giving it to them, right? Now, again, the last one is invite, right? So when you invite someone, an invitation is actually, an invitation. You get invited somewhere. You mean you can come to this thing, right? You get invited to a party, you can come to the party, right? You get invited to the job fair, you can come to the job fair, right? You get invited to whatever it is. That means that the door is already open. So you want to inform people, right? And obviously you can instruct them too. You want to inform people, inspire people, and then invite them to do what you told them to do. So here's where a lot of people get a little caught up when they're trying to persuade people. They may be good at informing, but they're terrible at inspiring. Then you have this other group, they're good at inspiring, but they're terrible at informing. So then both of them usually don't try to invite. They don't try to invite people like, hey, go take care of your finances. Hey, go take care of your spiritual life. Hey, tell your spouse she's the greatest. He's the greatest, right? They don't invite people to actually take a step to use the information that they've just been inspired to or instructed to use. So this is something that you must understand. People that are very emotionally excited and energetic and everything, they're the inspirational people. They breathe the life into people, but again, people don't know what they got to do. And the people that's very intellectual and everything, they informing people and everything, but people can't get off the couch, right? It's a man, that guy really was pretty good, man. He really was good. I think I'm gonna eat me another donut, right? He did talk some good stuff about losing weight. I think I'm gonna order me, instead of me an extra large pizza, I'm gonna order me a large, right? So they don't actually get up off the couch and do anything. So you have to be okay with inviting people to take action on what you have inspired and informed them about. If you don't invite them, people need to be invited. Sometimes you may say, well, it should be pretty easy. I told them what to do. Yeah, well, you told them what to do, but you should invite them to go ahead, go ahead and read chapter 1 in the book. See what happens. Hey, go ahead and see, do the 2 steps I told you, and just start using a smoothie or a juicer, and once a week, and see what happens. Go out there and buy you a juicer tomorrow, right? You have to invite them to do what you informed them and inspired them on. Now, if you don't do that, then people don't know what to do next. Now I know people are adults, and it seems pretty obvious that I told you all this good information. And, I told you stand up 3 times, look at your neighbor, I'm the greatest in the world, neighbor, right? You telling them to do all those things, and by the time they get done telling their neighbor how great they are and pointing to 7 people and raising their hand up to the sky and side to side, they tired, right? they can't learn anything then because they did all this exercise the whole time you were talking. So you want to actually put them in a situation where you invite them to try the information when they leave. Hey, starting tomorrow, start doing this. Hey, on every Sunday, do this. Every Friday, do this, right? Start this Friday. Start next Wednesday, right? You're trying to invite them to take the information and use it. Because again, the message can do more for them, especially if they use it. Now, everybody's not going to use it at that time. We all know that, right? But we want them to actually remember to use it because we want to make things simple, right? Because it's about their mess. So when you talk about a person being in a mess in a way that they can get out their mess, people know what they mess smell like. They know what they mess feel like. They know what they mess, the chaotic and all the confusion in their mess. So if you've never been through a negative relationship with someone, it's kind of hard to talk about how to get out of a negative relationship with someone. If your relationship has been perfect since you've been 18 years old, with your high school sweetheart, and now you 48 years old, and y'all been together 30 years. And that's wonderful. Really, it is, right? That's really, really wonderful. But you trying to tell somebody how to get out of a relationship that been through 10 bad ones and been the cause of being 5 of them was their fault, 5 of somebody else's, then you just can't say just leave because see, you haven't been through a mess and now you're speaking on something you don't know. So here's something for you. Anytime you speak in front of people, one thing you want to get good at is knowing your stuff, right? And the problem we have a lot of times, people don't know their stuff. They don't know what they're talking about, right? They know what they heard. What happens a lot of times, people get very good at regurgitating something they heard. They heard their favorite speaker say something, and then they try to say it 3 times, and they see how people adjust to it, and they say, "Oh, I'm gonna say that again," but they have no idea because they with that information because they never been through that mess. But a lot of people that speak to us in public, especially the people that get us emotionally all charged up. They just know what the other person said that I may not know. And I don't, I just know that they're quoting someone else. Nothing wrong with quoting people. It just shows you did your homework. But when you use your whole time to do nothing but quote, and Joe Smith said, and Mary Smith said, and Bob Smith said, and Lakita Smith said, you doing all that stuff, but none of that stuff is your stuff. So one thing you want to get good at is that you want to know what you are talking about. Now, I'm gonna give you an example. I'm speaking on how to speak in public, right? Based on the message that I've been in and based on what I've been doing for 30 years in this space, right? Now, I don't know everything about speaking in public, right? I know everything in this book, though, right? I know everything it took me to do in 30 years based on a lot of mistakes I made and all these different things. I know that. Now, I don't know everything, but I don't say I know everything about anything that I share and teach with people, right? And when I'm speaking in front of people, I don't say I know everything about that. I just know everything that I wrote in these books that I had, right? I know all that, right? So I know my stuff in regards to the material that I'm sharing with people. But at the same time, it's easy to know your stuff when it's stuff that you already done or stuff that you actually do. See, if it's something that like if someone asked me right now, hey, I want you speaking to people about how to do brain surgery. Now, even though I can read, I can go out there and read something on how to do brain surgery, but none of those people that listen to me they shouldn't go out there and try to do brain surgery when I get done. Because all I would be doing is regurgitating information that I have no idea how to deal with a brain surgery because I've never done one, right? I'm not that type of doctor. You fall out in front of me, I'm calling 911. That's what I'm doing, right? But if you'd ask me how to speak in public, I've done that. I know how to do that, right? I can share with you because I know my stuff about those things. So if you're actually going to talk about money, using you as a speaker, right? You say, I'm going to talk about money. Okay, that's great. What do you know about money? Now, so you're trying to talk about all this stuff about money and investments and all that stuff, and you have no idea, don't have an investment, never got an investment before, leave that alone because people can see and they won't trust you as much if you're talking about something that you don't know anything about. If you know about how to save $20 every month, talk about how to save $20 every month. Talk about that, right? But no, that don't sound as fancy as talking about how to save $20,000 an hour. You have no idea how to save $20,000 an hour. You never done that one before. So leave that one alone until you get there. You may get there in 5 years. You may get there 3 years from now. You may get there in 10 years. But right now, you're the $20 person. Well, since you're the $20 person, talking about $20 stuff, it doesn't make you less of a person. But what it does is put you in this position to make you less nervous in front of people. And then now you're not being so fearful and sweating and paranoid, thinking that you're about to mess up because you're talking about stuff that you know. Why? Because you know your stuff. Talk your know your stuff, know your talk, right? Know what you're talking about, and just talk on what you know. It's that simple. This is all I do, and all the times I speak in front of people in any capacity. If I'm speaking in front of people virtually, if I'm speaking to people on the stage, I talk about what I know. And I know what I'm talking about because that's where I stay. Now somebody else said, "Well, hey, why you talk about this? Why you talk about that?" I don't know that. I know this, right? If you don't know calculus, don't talk about it. If you know algebra, talk about that. That's how simple it is when you speak in front of people. Because when you get nervous and you in front of people and all these different things, what ends up happening, you don't come across very strong, not strong like a bully, but you don't come across very positive like if I'm sitting in the audience, this is something that I think I should do, because you don't seem that persuaded yourself about the information. So how would I be persuaded by something you don't seem that persuaded by? So when you actually have done the stuff, the 3 things, the 5 things, the 8 things, and again, I have no problem with getting information from other people, right? I have no problem with that. But some of us make it a practice that all the information that we speak on is from other people. We'll get online, we'll cut and paste, and all this different stuff. Nothing against doing your homework, but now we're trying to actually use all this stuff to actually speak in front of people, and it shows. It shows. Now you're wasting my time, right? Now you up there babbling along. Now I got to hear about your shoes, and I got to hear about your hair, and I got to hear about all this other stuff for a whole 45 minutes because you don't know your talk, and you're not talking on what you know, and you don't know your talk because you got cut and paste stuff, and you getting more nervous, and you shaking like a leaf on a tree on a windy day, right? Because you don't know what's going on. You don't know your talk. So you need to know your talk and know what you're talking about. And this is what's going to help you persuade people to actually use the information and try it out for themselves. See, because if you've been in a mess, you can say, I tried this thing 3 times and then I found out it didn't work. Then I tried it again, right? Then I tried it like this and went sideways, right? Now you know how to actually get out of this mess. So now you can tell some person, I know how I feel to be in a mess. I know how I feel to feel like you want to quit. I know how I feel to, go through your financial situations and you don't have any money to pay your bills. Well, see, if you never had that problem, then you trying to talk to me about paying bills. You never had that problem because you always had your bills paid, which is commendable. But maybe that's what you need to talk about, how you always had your bills paid, right? How you was able to save money and you didn't spend any money and you bought a little old house and you saved all this money forever and ever and ever, right? That's your audience then. But your audience may not be this audience that don't know how to save money yet, right? And then because you're going to come up there and you're going to be very derogatory to a lot of those people because you had some success. Don't allow your success to have you become derogatory to people in your audience. Don't allow that to happen. We all have had some success. Matter of fact, when you're looking at people in your audience, guess what? They have had some success too. Maybe they haven't had success where you have had it, but that does not mean they haven't had any success at all. Just because you got good at losing 25 pounds, it doesn't, you looking at people that may need to lose 50 pounds and you trying to be derogatory, that does not mean they haven't had financial success. That does not mean they haven't had relationship success. They just haven't had this weight loss success. But so you want to make people feel like I can actually get out of this mess and actually lose this 50 pounds that I'm trying to lose. Or I can get into better relationships I'm trying to get into. Or I can save $20 that I'm trying to get into. I can get into a better career or whatever it may be. So your job again is to know your talk and talk on what you know. If you don't know it, don't talk about it. Now, if you're learning about it right now, talk about it when you know it, right? And seeing when you know something, we call it knowledge, right? And you look at the word knowledge, you got no ledge, right? So we look at that a couple of ways. So first, let's look at the last four letters, 5 letters is ledge, right? So your knowing get you to a ledge, right? You have a ledge. In other words, you have an edge to your knowing. Now, the edge could be two things. The edge can be the end, like the edge of this table. That's the end of the table. Or in some instances, your edge can be how sharp you are. Your edge, your knowledge can show you how sharp you are and based on what you know. Now, here's the thing. You can't get knowledgeable without information. So you have to get intimate with information so that you can get knowledgeable about what you're doing. If you never get intimate with the information that you have, you never get to knowledge. So a lot of us, we never get intimate with information. See, when you meet somebody right today, it might not be a good idea to get intimate right there. You're like, what's your name? What's your name? Okay, y'all start getting intimate. That might not be a good idea, right? You might need to wait a while to get intimate, right? However, with information, you can get intimate right then and there. You can get involved with the information. You can try it in your life and try to use the 5 steps to get out of this thing, right? Or whatever it may be, right? Or 3 ways to use your product better. All these different things. You can get intimate with that information, and then that information would turn into knowledge. Now, I'm no Bible scholar or anything like that. I'm definitely no theologian and all that. But, when they say when a man know a woman, that means the man and the woman got intimate. That means they got sexually intimate, right? That's what I mean, right? So they got intimate. Well, see, when you get intimate with the information, that means you got close to the information. You done been inside the information. The information can become part of you. The information has shaped you into something, right? You look like what you know. If you don't know it, you don't look like it, right? Now, I'm not talking about the clothes you have on. If you don't know it or what you know, we're here if you know it when you start talking, right? Now, again, any of us can fool anybody for about 30 seconds. We all can give a good pitch. But when you start speaking for 5, 10, 15 minutes, people know if you know what you're talking about, right? You know if people know what they're talking about by listening to them. So this is why you want to spend a lot of time talking on what you know and know your talk. That would help you prevent you from wasting the time of people, right? Because your message now will massage my life, right? It massage me, it massage my ears, it massage my mind, it will massage my heart and make me believe that I can actually be persuaded or I can get out of this mess that I'm in and spend less time in this mess that I'm in. I've already been in this mess for a year now. I heard you, I might get out of this mess by the end of the year, by within 6 months. I might be out of this mess. But if I don't hear you, I might have to stay in this mess longer because I don't have a way to get out of the mess that I'm in because I never heard anybody talk about how to get out. I know I'm in it, but I don't know how to get out of it. And that's why you're needful in regards to teaching me how to get out of it. So you know the 3 I's, right? You're going to inform, which could also be instruct, but inform, also inspire, and then invite. Invite me into the fold here. You know, people do it in church all the time. They say, hey, they preach their message in church, say, come on down. Come on down here and join the church, right? People tell you that and they in the club or something. They invite you, come on in. You can be a member, right? Well, I'm being a little facetious there in those examples, but you do the same thing when you speak in public. You want to invite me to take a look at the information, you know, buy the product. You want to invite me to use the service. This is why when you hear sometimes when people say, hey, you know, you get a free, you do this, you get a free month rent or whatever, right? Right. What they're trying to do is invite you in so you can try it out. You can get intimate with it and say, oh, okay, I like this. Yeah, I like this. I think I'm going to keep it. Hey, you start now, you get a month free of this television series or whatever, right? You say, oh, I like this. I'm going to try it. I think I'm going to keep it. Well, that's the same thing you have to do when you're inviting people in to actually do the message that you have actually shared with them to become better and do better in what they do. That's all I'm doing here. I'm providing a message, and all my shows are the same way. I am actually providing a message, right? Information, right? And then I'm also trying to inspire you too. And I'm inviting you, like, hey, you purchase the book. Hey, hit the like, look at it again, share it. I'm inviting you to do something. Hey, take notes. You got your pen and paper. Take notes. Do this. Try this, right? Because I'm inviting you to take advantage of the information that I have just shared with you. That's the message, right? Hopefully, it massage you and you get all relaxed. Ooh, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try that. Hopefully, that's what happened, and then you can say it's worth your time, right? So, okay, but I got a couple more minutes. All right, so let me promote this guy one more time before my party is over. Let me see. Again, if you want to get promoted on the show, you can get in touch with me at fullofpurposemedia at gmail.com. That's fullofpurposemedia at gmail.com. So again, I'm promoting, if you missed him earlier, I'm going to promote him again. His name is Mr. Emmett Farmer. And are you 65 and older or know someone who is in need of Medicare assistance? Mr. Emmett Farmer is a licensed life and health insurance producer and an independent insurance broker. He can be reached at 773-908-9425 or efarmer, the number 2, efarmer2 at ameritech.net. Mr. Emmett Farmer specializes in Medicare plans for seniors 65 and older. Also, if you are disabled and have Medicare, he can help you as well. He is licensed in the state of Illinois, Texas, and in the process of being licensed in other states in the country also. If you are 65 and older, or if you will become 65 within the next 6 to 12 months, contact Mr. Emmett Farmer to learn more about your available options that he can help you with. Again, for more information, contact Mr. Emmett Farmer at 773-908-9425. That's 773-908-9425. Or efarmer2, EFARMER, the number 2, efarmer2 at ameritech.net. You would also get a free consultation by mentioning that you heard about Mr. Emmett Farmer and his business here on the Great Business Skills Show here on IntellectualRadio.com and iHeart Station with your host, Dr. Anthony L. Gantt, and he will be able to help you out. So let's do a recap to close this thing out here. Again, we want to make sure that we realize that we are there to give a message. We are a delivery person. That's why we're there to deliver a message. The message that we have is bigger than us because we're the messenger. We're never bigger than the message, but the message should always be bigger than us. Having a message, a way it's created, is actually being involved with a mess, right? Message, 2 words, being involved with a mess, and age mean time. You spend time in a mess, right? Chaotic, stinky, confusion, disorderly, right? You spend time in that. And so that's where your message is created. And if you're in some mess right now, you haven't learned how to get out, that's not a message for you at. You got to spend some time and learn how to get out of that so you can tell me how to get out of it, right? Uh, next, you need to make sure, again, something we said, we want to persuade people, right? Not convince people. We're not trying to strong arm people and convince them to do something for us. And we're not trying to persuade them to do something more for us than for themselves. And remember, we went through the 3 I's, right? You have to, in order to persuade people, they have to be engaged in what you're saying, right? So you're trying to, first I, inform people. You want to shape them into what you're actually talking about, right? You want them to see themselves like, I can be that. I can do that. I can get out, right? Then you want to inspire people, right? You want to breathe life into them or bring life into their life, because when you've been in the mess a long time, sometimes you don't think you're going to get out of it. You can file a bankruptcy financially, spiritually, physically, emotionally, or whatever it may have been, mentally. You don't think you're going to get out, right? So when you're giving that message, you are breathing life into the life of the people that listen to you and your audience. And then obviously the last I, we want to invite them into taking advantage of the information that we said, right? Use the information. Start tomorrow. Use the information. Read it. Do it. All these different things. So inform, inspire, and invite. Right? Those are the 3 I's. And then that help us know what we're talking about. We got to know our stuff. Don't get up there in front of people. Don't know your stuff. Know your stuff. Know your talk. Talk your know. You'll do just fine. Then this fear of public speaking will start alleviating from you more and more when you talk on stuff that you know. If you don't know it, don't talk about it. If you do know it, talk about it. Those are the things that you want to do. So to close out, keep in mind that great business people aren't born great. Great business people are made great by having great business skills. And I'll see you next time.